we try to tell y'all that the concept was being all we all Africans and all this is not the case. We are of different nations. When you go to the Bible, you have different black nations. You have the Ethiopians, you have the Egyptians, you have the Putites, the Canaanites, you understand, the Israelites, the Babylonians. You have all kind of different nations, Ishmaelites. These are all what you would call black people in their appearance, but they are of different nations. And y'all fail to understand that. What you are dealing with there is a white man's concept as well. Brother Edomite Slayer done told you about his encounters with Africans or so-called Africans, Hamites, when he was in college, trying to get him to understand that he was not of them. Those of you who are here in America, the descendants of the slaves, the descendants of the Moors, you are not of the same nationality as or the same bloodline, the same heritage of those so-called Africans, just like you not the same nation as the Europeans. You ain't no closer to them Africans than you are to the so-called white man. Y'all all different nations. Okay? And they were all in conspiracy. The Africans, the Europeans, the Arabs, they were all in conspiracy to sell you over here. But you believe in it that everybody who looks a certain way is of the same people. That is a white man's concept. The man you're looking up on the screen right now is a brother who's an author by the name of Rudolph R. Windsor. He's an author that you should get up on. And he tells us in his book, From Babylon to Timbuktu, this is probably his best-selling book that he ever wrote. He tells you on page 21, during the Middle Ages, the black nations of Africa and Asia had the greatest political, economical, educational, and military influence in the world. This is, we know, in the so-called conscious brothers and sisters, we know. At this time, Europe existed in a state of darkness for 1,000 years. Dark ages. What they, of course, in the school system, they don't tell us that it was the dark ages for them. One of the dark ages for everybody else. So read on. In the 17th century and later, here it is. Europe began to emerge out of the slough of ignorance, and certain Germans and others conceived of themselves as belonging to a superior race. Johann F. Blumenbach, a German, was the first to divide humanity on the basis of skin color. So this is a white man's invention. Brother Windsor says, up to this time, no such attempts had been made. Now, people, if you look at the mural, people talk about the mural in the tomb of Ramses III, where he's got the 4 figures, and one of them is the Indo-European, another one is the Asian or the Semite. It's 2 of them that's light skinned. Then you got 2. One of them represents the Kemite or the Egyptians, and the other one represents the other Africans. Both of these 2 figures are black, showing that they are represented the same way. But what people fail to realize, these 2 figures look the same. They portray the people that they represent, in other words, the same way. But Negro, what you fail to realize is that there still are 2 different figures. Meaning that who he's identifying are 2, they're not the same, because there wouldn't be a separate figure for them. That's just letting you know that they look the same. Yet at the same time, there still are 2 different figures to represent them. See, this is what you have to understand, okay? So, and again, this is a black man, Rudolph Windsor, whose book that I just quoted. Not no white man, like y'all trusting the white man's science. Well, what we're going to go to now, I'm going to turn to page 80 of his book, where he goes into some of the different Jews, talking about the black people, the true Jew, the Hebrews, the Israelites in so-called Africa. He tells us that you had the Tabiban Jews, okay? You had the Tabiban Jews, you had the Wasambara Jews. You understand what I'm saying? And he tells us about the Falashas. Now, the Tabiban Jews, what he said, were really Falashas, but they were forced to accept a nominal Christianity. They were like the Marrano Jews of Spain, forced to accept a religion against their will. He begins to tell us that the Falashas, in the second paragraph, the Falashas held the monopoly on the skilled trades in Ethiopia. They were leather workers, potters, smiths, and masons. Now, stop right there. This is why when we talk about Africa, since we left on the slave trade, they're going backwards. You understand what I'm saying? Because those who built up the system, those who built up those kingdoms in those regions, the Israelites, our ancestors, were taken away. We left. You see what I'm saying? We was gone. So because we left, those who had the skills to operate, to put together and sustain a society in terms of the technology and things like that and the different skills were gone. So that's why the society fell. It's plain and simple. And since we've been over here as slaves, as oppressed, still though we're the ones with the skills, not the white man. Again, like I said before, his technological advancements are all due to us. Now, Brother Windsor tells us on page 84 of his book, in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. And then he quotes one of the prophecies as we quote in the as far as what would happen to the people. Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Now, when you go down to the very next two paragraphs, notice he says this prophecy and all the residue of the prophecies contained in Deuteronomy chapter 28 verses 15 through 68. That's what we talk about. Show us, when I said before, can you show me that in the Medu Neter? If you read that passage in that chapter, that's what we talking about. But I ain't heard nobody even deal with that. No Egyptologist, Afrocentric even deal with that. They have not shown us these prophecies because they cannot show us these prophecies in the Medu Neter because they ain't there. Plain and simple. You could show us these prophecies in the Medu Neter and kill everything we saying. Because as I said before, he has Hebrew Israelites to believe in different things and in relation to the New Testament, and some believe it and some don't. But this is the foundation of what we talking about.